When a shabby-looking man entered the showroom, the staff considered him just another curious onlooker and eventually kicked him out. They didn't realize that his worn appearance was hiding a touching secret and a bag full of surprises. The car showroom in downtown New York was experiencing an unusually slow morning that day, but the showroom staff were used to this phenomenon and weren't concerned about it at all. The staff was supposed to identify visitors who could actually afford to buy any of the cars on display, since most people came to the showroom just to look at the luxury cars without any intention or means to buy them. The experienced managers had a trained eye, and they could easily recognize a potential buyer when they saw one. So, when the showroom doors opened and an elderly man with limited means walked in carrying a small cloth bag, the managers immediately lost interest. They thought that this man wasn't there to buy a car. Maybe he thought the place was a supermarket or something like that. But they were surprised by the old man's strange behavior. His name was Arthur Forey, a man in his 90s. He wasn't in the showroom by mistake. He had made a decision driven by love. The old man stood at the reception desk and asked the employee to watch his bag, which he carelessly placed on the floor. Then, the old man began to carefully inspect the cars parked in the showroom. He was wearing a worn cowboy shirt over a spotted shirt, loose trousers, and an old floppy-brimmed hat that made him look humble. All this time, the sales manager and the others were watching the strange visitor, not even trying to hide their mocking smiles. They were sure that the old man was poor, maybe even out of his mind, and that he had only come to admire the luxury cars. The old man carefully examined one car after another, until he finally settled on the most expensive car. He asked in a low, hoarse voice, "What's the engine capacity of this beauty? What's its ground clearance? And can I see the interior?" One of the more experienced managers, already tired of watching the old man, approached the old man and explained in an arrogant voice that the price of the car had gone up and that it was actually reserved for someone else. But then, why is there a price tag on the car? Doesn't that mean the car is for sale? The old man objected, feeling mocked by the superior manager's looks. Anyway, the senior manager suggested that the old man try the used car rental service, assuring him that they would find something more suitable for his age and financial situation. This remark immediately triggered a burst of laughter among the showroom employees who were simply enjoying the scene. Chris, a young manager who had recently started working, wasn't laughing. He felt sorry for the old man, who seemed like a poor lamb surrounded by a pack of wicked hyenas. Chris approached and quietly asked Mr. Brown if the man could see the car. The older manager replied with a quiet grinding of his teeth, then looked at Chris with such hostility that Chris felt completely unwelcome and simply walked away. Meanwhile, the old man stood there quietly, patiently waiting for the manager to open the door so he could assess the quality of the interior and the dashboard. However, Mr. Brown called security instead, who escorted the strange visitor to the exit while waving his cane. "I think it's better for you to leave the expensive car alone, and you're not exactly a young man. You could accidentally damage something inside," said the older manager, bidding him farewell. Mr. Brown was glad that he got rid of the old man easily, but the manager's unfair treatment brought tears to the old man's eyes, and he kept wiping them away. At that very moment, the showroom administrator saw the bag that the old man had left behind, and not wanting to pick it up, she used her foot to push it toward the exit. The other employees laughed when they saw that, appreciating the good joke. The fun was interrupted again by the young manager, Chris, who quietly picked up the bag and went outside. Fortunately, the old man hadn't gone far when Chris caught up with him, touched his shoulder, handed him the bag, and then, looking down in embarrassment, Chris apologized for the behavior of his colleagues who thought his untidy clothes were a sign that he was homeless. In response, the old man opened his bag, smiled, and showed the young manager what was inside the bag. There were several bundles of $100 bills tied with rubber bands. Chris felt curious and looked at the old man questioningly, with an impressive amount of money in his bag. Mr. Foray used to collect bottles and cardboard, which he would then carry to recycling centers. Mr. Foray carefully saved all the money he earned because he wanted to buy a car. His wife Catherine had been dreaming about it for a while. The truth is that his wife had been fighting cancer for several years, and it seemed that she was losing the battle as they struggled to pay for her chemotherapy treatment. They had to sell their house and move into a trailer. When he realized that the treatment was no longer working, Mr. Jones decided to fulfill his wife's dearest dream, to get her a car. Unfortunately, by the time the old man was able to save enough money, the price of the car had gone up, and now he didn't have enough to buy the car he wanted. When Chris found out how much money Mr. Foray was short, he started thinking. He knew that the car dealership couldn't offer a big discount. After accompanying the old man home, Chris went back to work. His idea, the old man's thoughts, and his wife's dream were all weighing on his mind. Chris had been diligently saving money for years, with the dream of buying a new house for himself. He made sacrifices, worked extra hours, and put every penny he could save toward achieving his dream. As Chris spent more time with Mr. Foray and learned about his sacrifices, he was deeply moved by the old man's story. He realized that Mr. Foray deserved more than just a car, especially when his wife's life was at stake. Later that night, he found himself at Mr. Foray's door, holding a package in his hands. The manager said, "Here is the full amount you need. Buy that car for your wife." And after he handed the old man the bundle of bills wrapped in cellophane, he left immediately, before he could see the old man shedding tears. The next day, Mr. Foray returned to the showroom. The sales staff were astonished when they saw the old man. They couldn't understand how he had changed so drastically in such a short time. The truth is, Mr. Foray was wearing a formal suit, a crisp white shirt, and shiny shoes. The old man opened the bag and showed its contents to everyone. When they saw the stacks of money, the employees immediately started gathering around Mr. Foray, whom they had thought was homeless just one day earlier. After inspecting the car from every possible angle and learning about its features, the old man bought the car. At that very moment, everyone in the room envied the old man for having the money to buy such an expensive car, and only Chris didn't envy him, knowing what the car had really cost him. Mr. Foray eventually went home with his own car, and after parking the beautiful ride not far from his house, he walked in with a mysterious smile, took his wife's hand, and led her outside, pointing to the expensive car. Catherine was overjoyed. Finally, despite her terminal illness, her dream had come true. He drove around the neighborhood until late at night, enjoying the time they spent together and having fun. That evening was without a doubt the happiest moment in Mrs. Foray's life, and it seemed to the woman that even the illness had retreated, giving her time to enjoy her dream. Catherine passed away the next day. That day seemed ordinary, but frightening. Mr. Foray tried to comfort himself with the thought that he had managed to give his wife a brief moment of happiness before her death. The old man took the keys and the car documents and took them back to the showroom where he signed the car over to Chris. Mr. Foray knew that Chris had been saving money to buy his own house, but he chose to give up his savings to fulfill the dream of a dying woman. What a man. Treat everyone you meet with kindness and respect, because you never know the burdens they may be carrying or the battles they may be fighting. So, in a world where you can be anything, be kind.